It is Mika.
Is
that a little better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
This is live. This is what I love about this, actually, because it's real and raw. And this
Yeah, it is. I'm like, oh, this is nerve wracking. We've never done it live.
No.
I know.
You can edit that, right?
Well, yeah, we'll edit it out for the YouTube post. But this is, you know, I think it's so important to be genuine on social media, because this is where people find out who we are, our personalities, how we thrive under pressure, all those things. So I do appreciate you guys willing to be live, because not everybody
It's actually better. Then we can't overthink it too much. We do our little videos and we're like, oh, that was bad. Start over.
Yeah, and I love your videos. When did y'all start doing that?
When did we start doing that? Like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I think a year.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. Well, we thought we were getting better, and then we just did a session of them. We were like, ooh, that was not good.
Got a glass of champagne before you do it.
That helps. That helps. But I mean, y'all, you do great. So anything you put out. So I want to share with everybody, if people don't know who you are, you guys are a multi-generational event design and interior house based in Southern California, known for creating transformative spaces that transcend trends. And you're Barbie and Lindsay and Lane, your mom and daughters. And I just think that's the coolest thing. I have a little girl who's 2, and what a dream to work with your family. I mean, I'm sure there are challenges.
No
challenges.
Right? Have you had an argument today yet?
Not today, but it's only 10 o'clock on the West Coast.
That's funny. So I'm excited to talk to you guys most. You probably don't know this about me, but I started in interior design 17 years ago. And I actually did commercial interior design. When the markets crashed in 2008, that's when I transformed over into photography. And so initially I got into it wanting to shoot Coastal Living magazine, Architectural Digest photos, because I just loved architecture and design.
Yeah.
And then quickly went into weddings and have been there ever since. So how did you guys get into design, events? Can you kind of give me a quick rundown?
She has a spiel.
I have a spiel.
A,
we always loved everything design related. It just was inbred into our bones. I think I moved a lot as a child, so we were always constantly creating environments immediately upon moving into a new house. And somehow I instilled that into the girls. And so we were constantly the people being like, oh, they need to switch that little thing up. Or if they did this, this would be a little bit better. Or why is that color that way? And then we did other things, and I did interiors for friends. And then the world just sort of switched around, and Lane got married, and we loved doing her wedding. And I always hate to admit this part, we were that family that did a wedding and then thought, oh, we can do this. And then, yeah, and then we turned out we could.
It took a little bit longer than
we thought. Well, our overnight success only took 7 years.
Yeah.
And then we I always did interiors. We always did our houses and friends' houses. And a bride that didn't hire us for her wedding, sadly, was true to her word and hired us to do our house. And that really started the interior projects off.
But design too, like it was the
Yes.
same thing. We did my wedding, and we kind of walked into that experience not really understanding that design was really a part of a wedding. Of course, people are making a color palette and choosing their flowers and things like that, but looking at a wedding from a 30,000 foot view and saying, okay, what's the story that you're telling through your design elements and through the experience that is going to elevate your event? And we did that for my wedding because we felt like, oh, this is fun. We can, do this. And then the bug stuck, and the same thing, interiors and weddings, they all, they're related sisters in one way or the other. So yeah. But
yeah, I think that's great. I think people like you guys have made that happen, though. I think the weddings that I'm drawn to are the more interior focused weddings that look like a bar or a restaurant or a home. So I don't know, when did that kind of come into play? I feel like it's a newer, like in the last, it was last 10 years. We were always
trying to inject it, and it just, as we were building clientele and getting more and more luxury clients and higher budgets, honestly. We were always trying with even the smallest things like that. We don't want the standard wedding plate or wedding chair. You can just have more fun if you're trying to make it look like a house, because there's more creative freedom as opposed to just looking at like the 5 chairs everybody uses, the same 3 chargers.
Right.
And honestly, it evolved because we get bored very easily. And it wasn't like we just don't want to use the same thing because it's just won't be good for business. We're just like, we really don't want to use the same thing again. It's not exciting.
I totally relate with you guys. I feel the same way. It's why I don't want to shoot the white tablecloth weddings.
Yes.
I get bored too.
You're like, we normally do so much.
Yeah.
And plus,
Exactly.
when you're designing, you really do, I mean, we all say it, but you really do want it to be reflective of them. And if you're choosing from the same 5 plates and the same, it's not. It's reflective of the 90 weddings that happened before that. And so if you can infuse those residential things that they love and places that they travel to, it just makes it seem your design's more elevated, more special for them.
Yeah. What would you say y'all's design? I say y'all because I'm from.
I love that.
Yeah, I like it.
I actually try to temper that as much as possible when I'm talking to people that aren't from the South.
I love it.
Don't temper.
Okay, y'all. What do you think? What would you say is your like design style? If you had to put a label on it.
So funny because Lindsay and I were driving the other day and we were saying, we're like, maybe it's a mistake that we're not just like staying in one lane. Like we should be whatever it is, X design style, and people will come to us just for this style and whatever. And we were like, but that's just not, goes back to being boring. I think it's, correct me if you guys are wrong, but if you guys are wrong, not if I'm wrong.
That's
usually
how the fights usually start.
But I think it usually comes from, you have a client that has their own personal style, and honestly, we do feel like we can relate to most styles in finding a thread a part that we relate to, whether it be a super traditional home, a transitional home, something super eclectic. Like it might not be our style, but we're like, I get it. I know where you're coming from, and so then it's like we want to always do that, because then it's like, okay, well, we love that, and how would we do it in our version of
we
that?
said like let's that's what they want, and especially if we don't particularly like in the beginning, we say, how would Lynden, let's Lynden Laneify it.
Yeah.
We'll make it the best version of that style that we can, and then we end up usually liking that style more.
Right, because you get into it. So you can make anything I think our style's really edited would be the thing. No matter what it is, we're really good at editing.
Refined, edited. But what I really love about your style, and mine's similar just in life, is it feels relaxed, and that you can enjoy a glass of wine and sit by the fire.
Very important.
It feels cozy, and I love that.
We always want our designs to feel accessible.
Yeah, accessible.
That's a good
I mean, I think even like some of the most beautiful design. I mean, I love like something that's like super stark and feels like kind of sterile actually, but it's like when it translates to an event, that's difficult. The point is people are there to celebrate and feel welcomed and all of those things. So you need it to feel, which is probably why we get so much inspiration from restaurants and hotels, because those places also are trying to allow people in and make you feel welcome.
Right.
You just answered my next question. Inspiration. I feel like travel is such an important part of being inspired as a photographer, as an artist. Where do you guys get your inspiration other than hotels, restaurants? And what are some of your favorite hotels and restaurants that you've been inspired by? This was, by the way, I sent them some list of questions, and I'm totally going off topic. So.
That's perfect.
It's funny because we obviously find inspiration at hotels and restaurants and all those things. But I was talking to one of our current clients, and she's like, how are you picking like these color palettes? I'm like, this is going to sound so stupid, but like, for example, one time I was sitting in Lane's living room and I was looking out her side window, and she had just painted her fence black, and there was jasmine growing on it, and the way the green and the white, like my brain, I'll kind of just like snapshot one little thing, and then I will literally take a picture of it, and then I'll pull the colors from it, because typically, obviously, if I'm in an ugly place, it's not happening. But in nature, all of these colors are happening together, and then my brain just like kind of explodes and fires on all cylinders, which obviously easily happens at a restaurant or a hotel because it's curated. But I like to find little weird.
But we did the Ojai wedding that we did just recently or last year. We got that whole feeling from, we were in, this sounds very fancy, but we were in Paris and we were having dinner and it was fancy.
Paris is fancy.
Yeah,
Paris
it is. We were at a restaurant and it was like kind of next to an alleyway and there was a sort of sage, what color green was that? Like a green blue, yeah. Curtain, again, next to a black window, and it had like a kind of a darker blue trim, and we were like, that's a wedding. Like, just, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And so, and it's okay to say, like, someone else did that right. Like, let's do that. Expand upon it. So, yeah.
I love this conversation. I want to hear more. I could talk to you guys all day about this.
Yeah, especially you love interiors. So
I love it. I love it so much. What else have you been inspired by? Like, tell me more.
Oh, I hate to admit this. I mean, when you're in Paris or you're just hanging out and you go to a really well curated clothing store.
I was gonna say clothes, yeah.
There's a little boutique in Laguna, Eris Boutique, and that gentleman curates his store like a museum.
It makes you want to buy
Everything.
Everything. And it's just so well done. Every time I go in there, I'm like, good job, Trey. And that always inspires me. Like, it's very clean, it's very edited, it's very monochromatic in a lot of ways, but he does it perfectly. Or, you go into a Valentino boutique, you're like, damn, this is good.
Well, we a lot of times, like, texture and stuff will come from clothes too. Like, there was a bar that we did in Mexico, and that was from an Oscar de la Renta dress that they had layered, and by the way, the bar ended up looking nothing like the Oscar de la Renta dress, but it just gave you this like start of like, that could be cool, and how could they layer that texture, and blah blah blah. So
that's our favorite part. That's like where we go. Like it's just so much fun for us.
Yeah.
That's so fun, and I'm sure it's fun and relieving for your clients because they're just watching you guys work.
I hope so. Or we really stress them out until it's time. We got it.
Okay.
Coming together, just relax.
Lane, you're helping me a lot. You just mentioned stress. What are some challenges you guys have faced? I like to ask everyone this because I feel like I just finished a mentor day, actually 2 days here in Charleston with 8 mentees where I teach them about mindset shift and positivity, all the things. What's something that has challenged you guys in the last year?
Last year was just, I'm sure a lot of people in this industry would agree, it was still leftover of like the boom after everybody started having events and stuff again. And last year was just challenging in general. We had a couple weddings that were difficult as far as location and weather, and there being no creative partners to work, not people we can bring photo and video and makeup, but like to build stuff for us and have anything of quality. So that last year was challenging because we had a lot of really like getting our hands dirty, having to go find people and like beg them to try to build something and then have to rebuild it 17 times because it's not good enough. Yeah. And then getting on site is like still not good enough, start over,
I think what you're saying too though is I think there's a challenge in that obviously event quality is most times, for most 99% of people's investment level is not going to be the level that you would put in your home or something like that, right? Because that's just not the price point. But
we're trying to make you think it is.
Yeah, we're trying to, and you are investing a lot of money, so like that should look finished. It should look like there was intention. It should look like somebody really cared about that. And we do have some amazing fabricators and people that we work with now, and now we're just going to bring you everywhere in the world because you understand that when we say like we want it to be marble, it can't be like, it's not wallpaper.
Right.
Like it needs to be textured and or come to us with your solutions too. So I think Lindsay's right. It's just finding the right partners to work together to know that you have a common goal and
you start to speak the same language. That's what helps us not be so stressed is when we have our people, because they know if Lane's walking towards them, like she's gonna say something about the corner of that draping, or if I walk, you know what I mean? They start to understand all of our little
things.
Your
your nuances. Yeah, without
We've
even
talked
saying
about
anything.
this on one of our videos as well, but you know, social media is the bane of our existence, but it's also the thing that has catapulted so many amazing small businesses, and so you gotta sort of pick your poison with it. But something that we're always kind of working through is just, and what I'm realizing more is it's not necessarily about your clients trusting you, because I think they do trust you. They hired you for a reason. 9 times out of 10, they do trust you. But they're just so inundated with other things that make them think, well, I saw this and I should be at this point, and I saw this, and are you guys gonna do that? And you know, and there's this whole thing of like, yes, we care about it as much as you do. All those elements are gonna be there. We're thinking that through, you know. So I think that level too of just,
That's
as you know,
challenging.
the design process is fluid, and sometimes it's coming to you and sometimes it's not. And it's hard to be in this like little box where you're like, I have to have it done on month 7.
Right.
And you're like, well, I'm not inspired today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's something I talked about with my mentees is it's hard to not compare yourself to where other people are. So I think brides probably do the same thing, right? Oh, such and such is planning a wedding. They've already picked out this, and this. Why haven't you guys already done that?
Always, correct.
Yeah.
Always.
So,
Yeah.
but I think that's what sets apart I hate the word luxury, ultra luxury, but that's what we use to label. I think that's what sets you guys apart, is that you're able to communicate that with your clients, whereas it can be more of a challenge to do that for some people. So I think
if it makes anyone feel better, it's hard for us too.
Right.
We have to reinvent every client because they all receive information differently. They all want things to happen at different times, and so it's just part of the hardest parts of this job.
We've been recently transitioning to working with more planners and offering our design services to them, because you know, like we said, we get bored and we're like, what about that? You know, but that will bring a whole nother level of challenges, because now maybe we thought we didn't want to, you know, have all these conversations with the client not because we didn't love the client, just because we're busy and whatever, we love design. But now maybe that'll be harder for us that we're not talking to the client as much. You know, who knows? So
right now there's challenges everywhere, but now there's a go between y'all and the client that maybe takes away some of the control a little bit.
Right. It's always scary.
Yeah, we don't like to let go.
You'll work out the kinks, and you can always go back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you. So I want to know, I teach other photographers, what would you give, if you had to give some advice to some, let's say people that are just below the luxury market, love doing the interior design focused weddings like you guys, what's something that you would give them advice wise?
Would you look at me? As far as like how to elevate their business and get into the next level, how to get access.
I think both. And I can tell you, y'all are so passionate about what you do. And I think that's probably the number one piece of advice, right? Is be passionate about what you do. But yeah, how to up level your business, how to get, besides networking, is there something that you guys have done that has kind of pushed you to the next level?
Definitely for us, we really did. I always said, it sounds kind of funny, but we had a targeted list, like these are the photographers we wanted to work with. And they were always in the next level up, or their client base. When you looked at their portfolio or their Instagram, were clients that we wanted to be serving as well and had a similar design aesthetic. So we worked to get the opportunity to photograph with somebody or have a floral person that we really wanted, or stationery. So we do the same thing, you know, like, oh my gosh, I really would love to work with blah, blah, blah. And we did that by, I think, you know, being kind, reaching out, not saying, oh, do you want to go out for coffee? But just,
oh my gosh.
Even though it was like, we'd love to go out for coffee, but we barely
And I
get the
feel
coffee.
badly, because you're just like, what other connection point do you have other than to offer you know? But sometimes you're just like, no, it just, nobody has the time to do these.
I don't want to feel guilty. It makes me feel so sad when I'm just like, yes, 100 times, and it's like, it's never going to happen. I would rather you just like,
stay in touch with us.
Yeah, say hello, this is my work. I would love it if you reached out sometime, because usually that's the one I like, you know, Lane and I will say to each other, like, what was that one photographer that her work was really pretty? And I have a folder, I save them all, we go back, we dig through them and we find them, you know, but we would adjust back in the day, well, I mean, still, but we would adjust entire budgets. Like, we're not going to care as much about flowers because we want to work with.
And that client said,
yeah,
that client said, we're also listening to them.
Yes.
Like the client saying, photography is super important to me. You're like, great. So we're not going to invest as much in flowers, and we are going to invest in much, you know, so it's not just us being like, we don't care about your flowers because we work with this.
Yeah. We're just chess playing, if you will.
Yeah.
But photos are very, very important.
Huge.
Yes, they are.
They're because
Really, they're everything.
they're everything because
They're everything, yeah.
for everybody.
Well, and especially I think for the interior forward weddings, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I think other weddings you can kind of capture the feeling more, which I try to do anyway, but I think there are specific photographers who are more interior focused and kind of lean towards more that interior aesthetic. So
And there's a story we're trying to tell with our design, obviously. So, like, there's nothing, it hasn't happened in a very, very long time, but, like, when you work so hard and then you get the pictures back and you're like, that's not the feeling. That's not what it felt like. That's not what it looked like. That's just, like, literally devastating for us. So, like, we take that very seriously, and that matters. We tell the client, too, for how you'll look back on your whole story in 30 years. Like, you want the photographer that captures that feeling.
yes,
And the whole,
Everything.
And sometimes there's things that maybe the clients worked with you for a year and they were so excited about whatever one element, and they, just because of the cadence of the day, never got to see it.
Yeah.
And then imagine that you're like, oh, there's no photos of that detail. Sorry, like, you're like, they're both sad about that, you know?
So you want to
oh, that makes me sad.
It is.
We used to make the like, God bless our photographers from way back in the day. We would make the longest list. Like, these are items you can't. They're like, what about like the client? Do they have like a shot list, bridesmaids? Like, yeah, you know all those. So, like, don't miss the bar. Don't miss this bar
Actually,
sign.
that's a really good point, because that was something that we did when we were transitioning, you know, into the luxury market. Was we knew how hard we had worked on that bar and that how important that color was and what that meant to the story, and we were like, we'll be damned if you're not going to take a picture of that, and we're not going to be able to post like that we cared about that bar.
And we still will send. Just this last wedding we had, and I was so grateful the photographer reminded me and asked me. She emailed me before she started editing, like, hey, what was the intention of like the color palette? Because it started to rain, we had to put the tents up, things shifted. Like, what were those colors supposed to feel like? I'm like, thank you. Here's the mood board. This is the shade of the green, you know, like how it was in real life. Like, that's what we want. She's like, great. And so, like, no, you're not shifting your entire editing process. You guys have a signature, obviously, but like being intentional about knowing, like, that was supposed to be chartreuse, not yellow.
Right.
And now your picture's making it look like Big Bird. So
Right.
go back to the chartreuse.
I think that's really an important point. Is one thing that one of my mentees brought up to me. She said a wedding planner wanted me to change the color of a specific green or something. And I said, do it. They've spent so much time on that specific shade of green. So that's very important, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's...
Was
Yeah.
it those pain in the butt ladies at Lynden Lane? But I think our clients are so much more invested in the design than they used to be.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like in every detail. Like they love the design on the bar. So it's everybody wants to see it. I hope. If we did it right, everybody.
I do. It's one of my favorite things at a wedding is all the little colors and details.
Yeah.
So we appreciate
No details too small.
That's our favorite thing, when a guest comes up and is like, I see you. All this, I see it. Good job. And you're like, yay!
Yeah. You know what you need.
Are you getting married anytime soon?
Right? So what I want to know, we're going to kind of wrap this up, but what projects are you looking forward to? Is there a vacation that you're looking forward to? Travel that you're looking forward to? Oh, vacation.
What's that? I think we're really looking forward to this new focus of our part of our business to work with top planners who want to bring in the Lynden Lane design aesthetic. I think that is going to be really challenging and fun and mind expanding and get all our muscles working in a different way. And the fact that now we're going to filter it through their eyes and their clients' eyes, and we get to just focus on that for those top planners. I think that's going to be really fun.
And we have some great weddings this year that we're super excited about. We traveled a lot last year, and it was funny because we just went on a fam to the Rosewood in Santa Barbara, and we were talking to another planner, and we were just talking about destination weddings and the glamour and what that looks like on Instagram. And we're like, they're hard. They're very hard. They are not for the faint of heart.
Right.
Like, we love them and we want to do them, of course, but it's like we have some weddings that are more like in Southern California that we're going to focus in a way. Again, we're not like searching for vendors everywhere. We're working with these people that we work with all the time, and that feels good, and that feels more liberating, because you're like, I know you can do that. You know, we've done it before, so we're going to do it better this time. You know? So that's exciting too.
It makes total sense. You guys know what you deliver, and you want to be able to deliver it perfectly every time, and it makes sense to want to use those people.
Right.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up with a little quick fire. These are just little fun things. I want to know each of your favorite cocktail.
Oh,
this
go ahead,
is
Lindsay.
easy.
Oh yeah, mine's just vodka, Chopin or Belvedere straight up with olives. Extra cold.
Mine's a Hendrix Martini, extra cold, wash of vermouth, 1 drop of orange bitter.
Ooh,
Which this weekend I've decided that could be my cocktail.
I'm gonna need to try that. I'm gonna need you to email me that recipe one more time.
Also, I don't. If you meet me, you'll know that I don't discriminate on my cocktails, which is why I usually end up with a headache. I'm always like, but that, I'm like a little like that one looks good. You should try that one. But I like a gin gimlet.
We can be friends. We can be friends.
Yeah, exactly. But I like a gin gimlet up, Hendrix. Also, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if we have to say extra cold.
You really do.
Yeah. It's just so bad when it's not.
Sorry, that wasn't a quick fire. Clearly, we have deep-seated feelings about our cocktails.
I love
I was
it.
a bartender for 15 years. I have opinions.
Yeah.
I always say if I could do anything besides interiors, weddings, I would be a bartender, because I love meeting people. I think it's so fun.
It is.
This is kind of the part bar
Yeah.
here. Just
Exactly. Hopefully you'll invite us back to the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Okay, you said you aren't going on vacation, but growing up, did y'all have a favorite vacation spot that you went to?
I mean, we're always going to say anywhere in Europe. Like,
okay.
But growing
like,
up,
growing up, we didn't go to Europe. No.
Okay.
I'm like, wow. Growing up, my mom
Me
lived around us most of the time, but there was a period of time she lived in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
And Lane and I would go like always for our spring breaks or whatever. So I would say that.
Yeah, I love Palm
Growing
Springs.
up.
I love Palm
It's so easy. It's drivable. It's
It's a
just
vacation
nice. It's a
spot.
nice little. But Santa Barbara, we just got back from Santa Barbara.
That's my place.
I mean,
It's a happy spot.
I
We always
just-
joke if we win the lotto.
that's where we're going. Yeah.
I have not been to Santa Barbara. I really want to go.
Oh, now we gotta go.
Come on out.
Okay.
We'll show you the ropes.
They make a really good cocktail.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to get all the tips from y'all. Where are you in Southern Cal?
Orange County. We're in Dana Point.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
Oh well, I mean, we live in South Orange County.
Okay.
All of us.
Barbie, my last question is for you. Who is your favorite daughter?
Oh! Well, we also have a brother, and so she always.
Our brother is her favorite. That's
Okay.
true.
I mean, I can understand why.
I
love a
love them both.
It's definitely me.
I mean, that's
I
fun.
love it.
I didn't give a day.
I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I could talk to y'all all day.
Same.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. You're so down to earth and just like my kind of people, so I love it. I really
That was
appreciate
so
it.
fun.
You made that so easy and so fast.
Yeah.
So fast, so easy. I just want everybody to like get a little inspiration, meet you guys if they haven't seen you before, and just all the things. So
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
thank you guys. Is there anything else you'd like to share? I know you're transitioning into wedding design more than planning.
Yes.
And where can people find you if they want to hire you, or where can they follow you on social media?
So our Instagram is just Lynden Lane, LYNDEN LANE, Lynden Lane. And then I feel like you can get everything from Instagram. Our website's on there, all the things.
Yeah.
All of our places.
Yes.
Amazing.
Contact.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.